Sometimes dead is better. Welcome to the Sunday Movie Marathon. I'm Max. It's just me this episode, coming at you. Episode, what is it? 98.5, I believe. We weren't going to put out an episode this week, but I said, no, I'll do one on my own. See if I can put something together. This episode is all about a bunch of horror movies that I tried to cram into the space of a few days. Try to watch them for the first time. I'm currently walking through a cemetery that is very near to where I live. I have an hour before it closes. It is raining lightly. I hope the wind does not interfere too badly, but I am recording this on my phone, and it's quite an old one at that. Samsung S9. Anyway, Chris and Darcy, they are out. They went to Brighton for Darcy's birthday, and as I hear it, they had a pretty good time. How are you? I'm doing okay. Can you hear that wind? I'm sure you can. It's been a fine day. Raining on and off. You know how it is in the UK in October. I figured I'd walk through the cemetery just to give it a bit of ambiance, but whether that fucks me in the end, remains to be seen. I hope it doesn't, because I would hate to get all the way through this and realise that it is completely inaudible because of the wind. So I suppose I should just hold my phone up to my hand or up to my mouth even, I should say, and just speak directly into my phone and hope that helps. But we'll see. Blowing it down. Anybody got any Halloween plans? I think I do. I haven't put a costume together yet, really. I bought some fake blood. We'll see what comes of that, I suppose. So yeah, back to the main grain of this episode. I watched 10 movies that I'd never seen before. These are all horror movies. From any year, I asked Chris and Darcy to send me a list of movies they think I should watch. I watched some of them. A lot of them were probably ones that I wanted to watch myself and hadn't gotten around to yet. Although I found myself realising that actually I've kind of ticked off a lot of the big ones, you know. Your Exorcists, Nightmare on Elm Street, Hereditary and all the new wave shit. I don't know. I suppose there is still more to get through, and I realise as I'm recording this that actually there are a few that I did not even think of, but that's okay. 10 movies in 7 days, from the 14th of October to the 20th of October 2022, depending on when you're listening to this. I thought I'd chat a little bit about some shows that I watched before, though. Before I decided even to do this, I watched Over the Garden Wall. You guys seen this show? I watched it for the second time because I think it's kind of an autumn staple to watch this show, this mini-series that I think originally aired on Cartoon Network back in the day. It's got some big names in it. Elijah Wood, some others. It's definitely supposed to be, well, I'd say it's a kid's show. That's animation for you, I suppose. but also Cartoon Network airs a lot of kids shows. It's a strange one, you know, because it definitely has its comedic moments, which you would expect from kids animation, but it's also pretty fucked up, pretty creepy. There's a lot of dark themes in it, and they clearly are in some sort of perpetual autumn. They're going through the forest a lot, but it's just a really great show, a really nice aesthetic. I didn't really think the world of it the first time I watched it. I don't remember the first time I watched it. It might have been last year, but this time I really, really fell in love with it. And I don't know, it might have been because I was feeling sick, or maybe I was hungover, I don't know. This was a couple of weeks ago, but I watched it all in one single day. 10 episodes, 10-minute long episodes. No reason not to watch it in one chunk if you've got the time, I suppose. It just carries a vibe with it, you know. I love a show that I can vibe with. You got, what is it? Greg the little child with a teapot hat, and Jason Thunderburker, or the frog that he keeps giving different names to, different funny names. It's a really funny show. So him and his brother Wart, they're just walking through the forest, I suppose, trying to find their way back home. And that's the whole show. They're just trying to find their way back home. They come across a slew of interesting characters, pumpkin people and talking horses and the like. You know how it is. It's overall a very tight show. And also, I didn't realise beforehand, but just, it's quite sad, I think. It's quite a sad little show, but it has a lot of adult themes in it. It is very dark, and it's ultimately about being lost, and I think about how you can feel very lost when you're a teenager or when you're a child and you don't know where to look for help. Sometimes it can feel as though you're all alone in the world. So I had a good cry about that. I think in the 10th episode, it really broke me down, you know. Seminal show. Do watch it. I've got the Blu-ray. I watched all the featurettes on it. Oh, it's coming down now and it's raining a lot. Maybe this wasn't a good idea. I don't know, I don't mind the rain all that much. As I say, 10-minute walk from home, I can just pop in the shower. But yeah, do watch that show, Over the Garden Wall. I think that's going to become a tradition for me, just to watch that every autumn, every October. It's a good October watch. 10 out of 10 for Over the Garden Wall. Another one I watched that felt quite apt in October is Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. This originally aired in the early 2000s. It's about a hospital and just the people who work at the hospital getting into all sorts of crazy antics. It was on Channel 4, starring Matthew Holness, Matt Berry, Richard Ayoade, and a couple others whose names I do not remember. I had one person tell me to watch this, and it took me until now to do so. And what do you know? It's amazing. It's such a good show. It's so tight. It's so funny. I love Matt Berry. I'm really up for anything he does. I love how he dubbed over his own lines the whole way through. I love how Richard Ayoade is clearly supposed to be like acting really poorly. It's so well done. And it's a good October watch, I think, because it has like this horror comedy element to it. They're in Dark Place Hospital, this like building in the middle of fucking nowhere, and they show it a lot on the exterior, and it's just like rendered in CG. It's very funny, and I think everybody should watch it. What was that last one where that woman turns into a broccoli? That should make you want to watch it alone, I think. Forgive me if I don't have all that much to say on it. I did watch it a few weeks ago. But I think I only planned on watching one episode. But they're about half an hour a pop, so I watched the whole thing in one night. It may only be about 6 episodes long. Again, extremely tight. Just what you want from a little Channel 4 show, and I almost think that we don't get enough of these. You know, it's these mini-series, they're all the rage now. But I feel like if they kind of had went on for even more, maybe it still would have been good. I'm pretty sure it would have been. There's a great team working behind it, but it would almost maybe diminish it a bit. But it makes you want to watch it again, and I bought the DVD immediately after. £3 on eBay. Very nice. Yeah, I'd love to talk about a few of the moments, but I'm kind of drawing a blank at the moment as the rain's coming down. Oh, it's really picking up. I have my notes written down on a piece of paper. I wrote them down in pen, so I hope it doesn't like leak. That would suck. Maybe I'll take shelter under a tree. Ooh, I'm going to places in the cemetery that I've never been before. You know, it's very strange. It's it's getting dark. I hope you can still hear me. But yeah, that's that on what I wanted to talk about, I suppose, for the pre-chat. Let me just find a tree to skulk under, because this is... I really should have known that this was going to happen, you know. I just should have known. Let me get my my main one out, because it's all written down. I've got the 10 movies that I wanted to talk about, and I figured, how do I talk about these movies? Should I talk about them in the order I watched them, or should I talk about them in kind of a list type format where I go from worst to best or best to worst? I wrote them down just as I watched them, so I suppose it'll go like that. Here's one I watched first, and the rest up until yesterday, where I watched the last one. Let's see then. What have we got? Chris is editing this, so I do hope it's not just completely awful and terrible. I'm sure he'll work his magic. So, first one I watched was a movie that I've been meaning to watch for a while. I've had on DVD for a little while. It's a film by Neil Marshall from 2005 called The Descent. Have you seen this movie? Let me know what you thought about it. This is a movie about some women who go cave diving. They want to dive in some caves. So they go out, gals holiday. This is what I imagine all gals holidays are like. And they go into a hole. They go into a hole in the ground. And what they find in there, some freaky stuff. I tell you, this was really weird. This was a really weird one. It's kind of a creature feature, I suppose. There are creatures in it, if you didn't know. I'm going to try not to spoil a lot of these movies, at least not heavily, but I don't think creature feature is ultimately a spoiler. I suppose I would consider it a spoiler, because I like going into my movies knowing absolutely nothing. But yeah, there are just guys in there. Like, oh shit. I mean, first things first, they're going through these caves, and these narrow shots they're getting of, like, just these really tight spaces is enough to scare you already, I think. When they get trapped, or like rocks collapse on them, oh god, really tight spaces, very claustrophobic. Oh, I hate it. It's all about this one woman, whose name I've forgotten, I'm sorry. It's all about grief, I suppose. She loses her husband and her child. She wakes up and they're like, sorry you've lost your husband and child, they are dead. It's like, oh fuck. Oh no. The way they show it, it's like a car crash. It just, so horrible to see. And I think they do some very effective jump scares with it, especially in dreams. But obviously the main bulk is just them trying to figure out how to get out of this cave system. It's a lot of arguing, I suppose. A lot of arguing between these friends who just kind of want to get out of there. They're like, damn, we made a mistake. I thought this was on the map. It's not on the map at all. Where have you brought us? Where have you enticed us to? What's her name? And they just find a bunch of guys in there. Like, what the fuck? What are these? You guys seen What We Do in the Shadows? It was kind of like just a bunch of Peters in there. Like, Peter, what are you doing in here? It just goes to show that the true horror really is, at the end of the day, just a bunch of white men in the dark. Oh, freaky stuff. A lot of gore. A lot of fucking hero moments, I suppose, with the main character going, just screaming her head off, and killing things. And there's a part where she has to kill her friend. That's horrible. There's a lot of betrayal in it, I suppose. And you just want to see her get out of there. You know what she's been through. You know it's sort of all an allegory for grief and dealing with grief. The ending is a bit ambiguous. Does she get out? Does she not get out? If you've seen the movie, what do you think? Does she get out? I think she probably does. I think she's alright in the end. But maybe trapped in her own mind. Lost all of our friends. That is, what a way to go. You on holiday, lose all your friends immediately. Every single one of them. Just gone. So horrible. Makes you never want to go cave diving. Put this movie in the list of movies that put you off certain holidays, along with Midsummer. But yeah, not to drone on too much about it, I really liked it. I would probably give it an 8 out of 10 for now. I will watch it again at some point. Who knows what I think. It's a good horror. It really is. I'm not going to check out The Descent 2. Don't care enough. Second movie I watched, Jeepers Creepers from 2001. Ooh. This was directed by Victor Salva. Victor Salva directed this one. Heard about it. Everyone's heard about Jeepers Creepers. Everyone's heard the song. Jeepers Creepers, how do you get those peepers? Ooh, what a classic. But is the movie a classic? No? No, the movie sucked. The movie was awful. Oh man, it was bad. I couldn't believe I sat through the whole thing. These people, I don't like them. You want to establish characters you care about if you're going to stay with them the whole time. Pretty sure the guy's name was Darry. Not a real name. Everyone is stupid. Everyone's an idiot. The premise, I suppose, is Jeepers Creepers Man. That's what I'm going to call him. I've forgotten his name. It's kind of like the Boogeyman. He plays you a song. You hear it on the radio. Jeepers Creepers. You're like, oh no. Jeepers Creepers Man is after me. They see him, I think. He drives a truck to a house. And he dumps what looks to be a body in a hole. I'm sensing a lot of hole themes in these movies so far. my god. Sorry, I just hear screaming. Add to the ambience, maybe. Nice. I'm still going in directions I've never been before. This is pretty freaky at the moment. Still got to keep an eye on time as well. 5:17 at the moment. We've got a while. But yeah, oh man, Jeepers Creepers. It's the kind of movie that wants you to take it seriously. I don't know. There's not a hint of like comedy or like stupidity in it, even though the movie's very stupid. I think the creature could have been scary. He's like this guy, kind of like a vampire or like a gargoyle type of man, type of being with a big coat. And we all know how scary men with big coats are. It's just very dull and very annoying because everybody's making terrible decisions all the time. Darry goes into this hole and fucking sees a bunch of bodies. You think he'd be shat up. Oh man, that would traumatize you for life. But you wouldn't think it the way he reacts to it. He's like, oh man, that's pretty fucked up, I'm not gonna lie. Then he goes about his day. He's not talking for a bit. And his sister, who he's with, who saw him go down the hole, is like, Darry, you're acting like a weirdo. Just, stop being lame, stop being cringe. Tell me what's going on. And he just doesn't speak. But he doesn't speak in a way that's like not convincing at all. You wouldn't think this man had been traumatized, but then everybody acts like he's a fucking lunatic and an idiot. Like, oh, why did you just... The police are coming. Like, what are you doing? Why did you call the police? What's wrong with you? It's like, dude, you don't know what he saw. You don't know where he's been. Why would you tell someone not to call the police? Just goes into all this and goes, call the police. What's the worst that could happen? Just call the police. Worst thing that happens is they find nothing. They're like, oh, this guy was just kind of a lunatic, or he wanted to cause some havoc and mayhem and chaos. Yeah. I don't have a lot to say on it. I didn't much like really anything about it. It was just very boring. And it dragged on for a very long time. It's like an hour and a half, but oh man. Felt like forever. 3 out of 10. Don't watch this movie. It's very famous though. I don't know why. Maybe all the cats. Next one I wanted to watch a classic, My Bloody Valentine, from 1981, directed by George Mihalka. So, this one is a classic. I'm pretty sure it's a classic. Everybody's heard of My Bloody Valentine. I got the Blu-ray, but I didn't realise that it was like a remake at first. I was like, oh, this is actually a remake. I think the remake came out in 2009. It's a 3D Blu-ray. Wow. It's been a while since I've seen 3D. It came with the glasses as well, so I kind of wanted to check that out, and I was like, oh yeah, after I watched My Bloody Valentine from 1981, I'm going to dive into this one with 3D. It's going to be awesome. Doesn't even matter if it's shit. And then I watched My Bloody Valentine from 1981, and oh god, I kind of don't want to watch the remake now. I spent £2.50 on fucking nothing on the remake. Now I can't be bothered to watch it. Woo! It's a slasher movie, and we all know how I feel about slashers, if you've been here long enough. I think that it's a genre that needs to die, but they keep bringing back. How many times can you do the same thing over again? They're in a mine. It's like that's the thing. The killer, he has a gas mask and a pickaxe and revenge on his mind. All these kids having sex in it. They're like, we should have sex in the mines. Saucy. Never thought of that one. It's it plays out about how you'd expect. These people are dumb, these kids are idiots. It's just another one of those. It's very boring and very just tired, I think. There are some cool kills, I will say that much. I think you can do a lot of cool stuff with a pickaxe, I suppose. He like chops the pickaxe into the guy and he's like, "Jah!" Goes up through his neck, out of his eyeball. Fuck. That was crazy. I want more of that. There weren't that many kills though, or at least not many that we really see, I guess. You want something gory and fucking in your face with this kind of thing. Not really what we got though. Yeah. Not my cup of tea, but I'm sure a lot of people like it. I think it feels like one of those cult movies. I always know when something's a cult movie because I hate it. It's very popular, I guess. Yeah. I don't know what I gave that one. Off the top of my head, I'd probably give it like a 4 out of 10. It's not completely without its merits, but not one that I'm willing to go back to anytime soon. Woo! What's the next one then? Go on. Tell us. Next one I watched. Ooh. It was a recommendation from Chris. Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street. From 2007, directed by Tim Burton. Oh, I can't believe you've not watched this one before, Max. I know. Me neither. Just one of those, I guess. Tim Burton, we all know him from the Dumbo remake. He's a seminal director. You should know his movies, I'm sure. This one's starring Johnny Depp, Helena Bonham Carter, Alan Rickman, Timothy Spall, and a bunch of other geezers. What I didn't know going into this was that it was a musical. I knew that it was about a barber, because it's in the name, I guess, but also Sweeney Todd, very ubiquitous in culture. The Demon Barber, guy who slits throats on the chair. You're going? Give me a shake, please. Johnny? Hiya! He gets you. He plays it very well, I think, Johnny Depp. Plays the anguish. He's been away for a while. He was exiled. He wants to see his wife and child. Been told his wife is dead. And his child, adopted by the villain. Oh no. The villain being Alan Rickman, who is, freaky as always. Kind of a weirdo, kind of a creep. Kind of a pervert. They sing a song about women. Pretty women. Oh, what a banger. What a banger that one was. I tell you. This is really good. This is a really good movie. As soon as they started singing, I was like, no. What have you got me into, Chris? I never know if Chris is going to bamboozle me with something that's just shit. He has done that before. I don't trust him. But this was fucking great. This was so good. Really great songs. Really gory as well. It's what you want from a movie about a guy who slits throats in his barber's chair. Tim Burton can go one of two ways, I think. But I'm glad that he racked it up. He's like, yeah, if this one's a 15, he cuts people's throats. You're going to see it all in very bloody detail. Or while he's just singing along, yeah. And I'm cutting some throats, yeah. Oh, so good. So good, so fun. And you genuinely care about the characters. You care about seeing Sweeney Todd get his daughter back by any means necessary. It's very macabre, and just a lot of fun. Very consistent music as well. It's got that rhythm, it's got that dark tone, that edge that you really want in a movie like this. I'm hard pressed to think of another horror musical, I suppose. Rocky Horror Picture Show, or that I like, I guess. Rocky Horror was fine. Repo the Genetic Opera, that's one of the classics. But this one's probably my favourite now. But then I've not really seen all that many, I don't think. It's just good, isn't it? Just a good one. Good one for October, I think. Definitely one of my favourites from this list that I've got here. I had a really good time with it. So thank you, Chris, for recommending that one. Oh, a squirrel. Oh, you gotta watch out for the squirrels around here. You look them in the eye, they will crawl up you because they think you have food. I've had that happen multiple times. I don't appreciate it. Only enough to get a quick picture if I can. Be like, oh look, a squirrel crawled up me, isn't that strange and interesting? And the next one. Oh, we got a classic here. Candyman. From 1992, directed by Bernard oh fuck, I forgot to give Sweeney Todd a rating. I'll give that an 8 out of 10. Thanks. Candyman, Bernard Rose, 1992. One of those big ones. Big seminal movies. I watched Sweeney Todd, and then immediately after I was like, oh, alright, I'll offset this with something that's probably not going to be that good. Because as much as, you know, it is one of those revered movies, one of those classics, it is a slasher movie. And, you know, I don't really like slashers all that much. I don't care for Halloween. Don't like Texas Chainsaw or Friday the 13th. Well, I wasn't really holding out much hope for this one. But fuck me. It's actually really good. It's actually a banger. What do you know? What do you know? Candyman of all the ones. It's just... ugh. It's freaky. I think what elevates it is its villain. Its antagonist, the Candyman. He is fantastic. I don't know who plays him. But oh man. It helps that he's got like some depth to him. He's not just a guy who goes around killing people with his hook for a hand. He's like a dude. He's been through some shit. He lived in the past. He was a slave. He was abused. I think it's a lot to do with, you know, all that social and racial commentary. With this idea of discrimination and abuse being kind of cyclical, as he just keeps going. He's going on killing people with his hook. It's set in some really interesting places as well. Got this kind of urban estate they go to a lot. Quite decayed. People won't go there because of the crime and there's all that. I think it's definitely commentary on I guess that side of America. It's also about like gaslighting, I think. You got this girl as the main character. Who sees Candyman? You're supposed to chant his name 5 times in the mirror and he will appear. Stupid. To do that. Oh, that'll be funny. I'm gonna do that. Doesn't matter if you believe in it or not. That's a stupid idea. Because what if? You know, you don't know. You don't know. It reminded me of back in the day. This was way back. My sister once got an email about Bloody Mary. It was one of those chain emails that went around back in the day when we were young enough to send emails. Or chain emails. Horror chain emails. Bloody Mary is coming for you, it said to my sister. I was like, oh no, my sister's going to die. We were shut up. We were so scared that my sister was going to be killed by Bloody Mary. And this is kind of that. Except, you know, more nuanced. Just a tad more nuanced, I suppose. And I think it's just one of the better slashers, in my opinion. It's very interesting. It's like genuinely interesting to kind of pick it apart, and because it does have these layers to it. It's very mysterious and very creepy, and you know, from the 90s, you really don't expect a black antagonist to be this fucking interesting, because you know, for so long black people were shafted and just made to be, you know, background characters or whatever. This one, I mean, I know it's the 90s, it's fairly recent, I suppose, but I mean, in slashers especially, you don't really expect nuance from really any of it. But man, I just had a really good time with it. I don't have too many criticisms to level against it. I mean, it is still a slasher. Some goofy shit going on. But I mean, it's also a lot to do with like the occult and this kind of weird pagan shit that's going on. He's trying to recruit this woman, the Candyman. He's like, come on, be with me, we can do shit. And he's basically gaslighting her, and like they won't believe that she's seen the Candyman, so she gets institutionalized. And it's just horrible to watch this woman go through it all. Very solid. Definitely want to watch in October. I'm sure I'll watch it again. I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10 for now. But I had a blast with it. And especially because I wasn't really expecting it to be so good. Yeah. Nice. Sorry about that. The next one I watched was Confessions from 2010, directed by Tetsuya Nakashima. It's not a horror movie, but Darcy recommended it to me, saying this is fucked up. It is kind of fucked up, I'm not gonna lie, but it's not a horror movie. I figured I'd talk about it anyway for a bit, but I did kind of have a go at her. This isn't a fucking horror movie, Darcy, what are you doing? This is a crime drama. Like, it's about this woman, she's a school teacher. She's about to leave the school. She's like, I'm leaving. The kids are like, oh, it's I think it's Japanese. Like, I'm leaving. I'm going out. I'm sick of you guys. Sick of you kids. All the kids are like, yeah! Woo! They react to her leaving like how we react to Tory Prime Ministers leaving. Just a field day. Just a good time. About 10 minutes of the movie, at the very beginning, is taken up by this teacher telling her class the story of how her daughter died. And as it turns out, it was down to 2 of her own students who did this. And it's all about her saying that she spiked their milk with her husband's HIV-infected blood. The kids go crazy. Panic ensues. What's next? It's just about what happens next. And seeing these kids just go insane. These infected kids. One of them goes out of school. One of them keeps going to school, but they still believe it. Oh man, I've been infected with the blood. They've got the HIV. They're gonna die pretty soon. Of course they're kids, they don't know that like you can live very long if you have HIV or AIDS nowadays. But of course it's not going to occur to a bunch of children, I suppose. It's a very psychological movie in that way. It kind of gets into their minds. It's like a lot of perspectives on these kids and how they're feeling, and the teacher. The first act is super gripping when she's telling this story. It's insane. It's insane stuff. You're on the edge of your seat. I know I was. It just gets you thinking about like the justice system, and especially when it comes to kids and what they're capable of. The teacher says, you know, if you kids kill someone, nothing's really going to happen to you. You can do whatever you want, which is bullshit because you murdered my daughter. It's so sad, you know. Oh man, I'm very glad I watched it. It was a very good movie. I'm not going to talk too much about it. It's not a horror movie. But I'm glad that Darcy recommended it to me. Because I had never heard of this movie. I would have never watched it. Yeah, it's a good one. I like how it unfolds. I like just how it paces itself. It's a very good one to watch, I think. 7 out of 10. Next up, still walking through the cemetery. What's the time? Ooh. I got 20 minutes before I gotta get out of here. So maybe we'll race through these, I don't know. We'll see. Oh no, I can't race through this one. Alright, sorry. So the next one I watched was The Wicker Man from 1973, directed by Robin Hardy. Not the Nick Cage Wicker Man. This is the OG. This is the one. There's a policeman. He goes to a secluded Scottish island because a girl has been reported missing. He talks to this community of people saying, where is this girl? They're giving him cryptic answers. These people are fucking weird. These people are crazy. He knows it. We know it. Just trying to find the girl. It's got Christopher Lee in it as well. Ooh, did not expect that. He does a very good job. It's I suppose it's like kind of culty in terms of, well, its status in movie culture, and also the movie is about kind of a cult. If you've seen the movie Midsummer, it's kind of like that. If you did not appreciate Midsummer, did not really enjoy it all that much, I would recommend The Wicker Man, because it's a lot more straightforward, I suppose, in what its narrative is. You're just watching this policeman try to figure something out, and that's very interesting, especially seeing him talk to all these people. It's mostly set in the daytime, so it's very strange that it's so creepy, so eerie. What is happening in this town? Where is this girl? He learns that she's been killed. Why would they hide the truth from him? They say, no, she hasn't been killed. Yes, she has been killed. So where is she? Where is she, and why is this town hushing it up? It's also very whimsical and fascinating and fantastical, and I think it delves a lot into, religion and culture. Their religion in this town is very weird to the policemen, because they worship stuff like the sun and sea gods, and they perform sacrifices, and they kind of teach their ways to the kids in the secluded community. But it's also about Christianity, I think. This policeman, he's a Christian. He believes in the Christian God, and he doesn't think that what they believe is true. He thinks they're insane. Very interesting to see how it's kind of, I don't know what it takes a stance on particularly, or if it's even trying to take a stance on it. But when you think about religion, you think about clashing causes, I suppose. There's a lot of clashing causes in this. He says that their way of life is ridiculous and nonsense. But also, he keeps telling them, no, that's insane, your sun god is not real. Only the one true Christian God is the real God. I keep saying a lot, sorry. Yeah, it looks great. Great costumes. You got girls dancing around naked, which is always nice to see. Really lovely music as well. I think the big standout that a lot of people know from this movie is the big Wicker Man. It's not about the massive effigy made of wicker so much as it is this policeman, I guess, and what he believes in. And if what he believes in is the whole truth, just freaky, man. I loved it. I thought it was very original as well, and definitely not something I'm really used to from the 70s. A horror movie that's set almost completely in the daytime, and it just talks about themes and kind of makes you think a lot. I would love to maybe recommend it one day on the podcast, because I think it's an interesting one to kind of pick apart. But for now, I'll keep it this one short, as we're running out of time. I give it a 9 out of 10. I loved it. So good. Next one I watched, 1980 movie, directed by Peter Medak, called The Changeling. So I keep fucking doing there. What's wrong with me? I'm like those guys from Dark Crystal, the Skeksis. Coming up on a murder of crows here. There's loads of them. Anyway, The Changeling. This man witnesses his wife and child just be killed in front of his very eyes by a truck. He moves into a new mansion, and there's a ghost in there. It's about finding out what the ghost wants. Turns out the ghost is a child, a little boy who died, and he kind of has to figure out what happened to the kid, and he holds this seance. And this one's also about grief, I suppose, and coming to terms with losing loved ones and like coping with that. It kind of hit me like maybe like a few hours after I'd watched it, or like when I was writing my notes, I was like, actually, yeah, it has a lot of strong messaging about grief and acceptance and kind of sins of the father type stuff, where it turns out this boy's father killed him in a horrible, brutal way. It's pretty sad stuff. And this guy, I think John was his name, he just wants to help the boy. I don't even know that he cares all that much that like ghosts exist. He's like, yeah, okay, this ghost exists. He's a little boy, I want to help him. He was a victim of abuse and torture by his own father, you know. And after losing his wife and daughter, he's just trying to save this one. Do something right. See if he can't put some good back into the world. You get a bit bogged down, I suppose. That's where it kind of lost me. The stuff that doesn't need to be there. Scenes that are a bit too long. But ultimately a decent movie. Not one that I'd fast go back to. But hey, why not? 6 out of 10. Next one I watched was a recommendation from Chris again. This one is called The Lost Boys. It's by Joel Schumacher, and it came out in 1987. Vampire movie. Have we seen The Lost Boys? What do we think of this one? It's super 80s. I had not heard anything about it. I wouldn't even have known that it was a vampire movie if not for the front cover of the Blu-ray, which kind of spoiled that angle for... I don't know, that doesn't matter all that much. This is solid. This is exactly what you want a vampire movie to be. It's kind of gory. It's a lot of fun. It's very campy, I think, and it has a lot of like comedy through it. You're following these kids, just sort of figuring out what's going on. The elder brother is turned to a vampire. He's got to try and take down the head vampire to turn everyone back into people. And the Lost Boys, they're this gang, this biker gang, hanging out in Santa Carla. They're kind of the bad boys. They're kind of a bad boy gang. Just going around causing havoc, causing mayhem. Being vampires, killing people, sucking blood. You know, vampire shit. Two magpies. That's something, pretty sure. Anyway, where was I? The Lost Boys. It's a very slick film, I think. And when I say it's very 80s, I mean it has that look to it, and it has that feel. It has the feel of the 80s, much like Terminator did, which is super like of its time. but definitely not in a bad way. It makes you feel nostalgic for that sort of time. Even though I wasn't alive in the 80s, I still got a lot out of it, out of like that nostalgic angle, I suppose. Or I suppose it's just that's how it's aged with time. And I liked that it didn't take itself all that seriously. You got this kid, the brother of the guy who gets turned into a vampire. He's reading comic books. Oh my god, there are vampires. He's reading vampire comic books. Here's how to defeat them, it says. Okay. Guess we gotta kill these vampires. It's a lot of pretty people in this movie as well. Very pretty people. And that's what you want. Why not? Sometimes you want a movie with just some ugly fuckers. Why not? Mix it up a bit. But this one, I suppose it goes with the sleek look that the movie has. A lot of very good effects, I think, and very gory when it needs to be. It's what you want from a vampire one, I think. There'd be lots of blood and gore. You know, I think I would watch it again at some point. Maybe not super soon, but it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun and very funny as well. I like the kids at the comic book store who kind of, they know that there are vampires about, and the kids, you know, they own this comic book store. I'm like 15 years old. I'm like, yeah, and we're gonna kill some vampires. They go out with their vampire hunting gear. It's very funny. I feel like nobody ever wants to become a vampire in these movies. If I got turned into a vampire, I'd be like, oh, alright, that's pretty cool. I know there are some drawbacks, but you're immortal. And you can fly, and you're super strong and stuff. That's cool. Nobody appreciates being turned into a vampire. It's only Bella Swan who did. She knew what it was about. 8 out of 10 for The Lost Boys. I had a good time with it. I'm glad Chris recommended it. So we're on to the last one that I watched last night. This is a movie I feel like I didn't do enough from like really early on. This is a movie from 1932, directed by Carl Theodor Dreyer. And I got 10 minutes left, so let's make this snappy. It's called Vampyr, or Vampyr. It's spelled Vampyr. It's on YouTube, because it's an old movie. You can just watch it on there. It's like about this guy who like goes to a hotel, and there are vampires. He's got to figure some shit out about why there are vampires there. I don't really know. I was very tired when I watched this. It's quite hard to pay attention to, because it's so old. It's in black and white. What do you want from me? It's okay though. It's pretty decent. There's a lot of good stuff going on with the effects and like shadows that move independently, and all these different things they're able to do with like lighting. I had a really good time with that. I think something about these old vampire movies just hits differently. You got like Nosferatu. It just feels a bit more ancient. It feels like they've captured the vibe of vampires and they make them scary. You know, make them kind of a freaky concept, because the idea of somebody who sucks your blood and like kills people or like possesses them, makes them kill themselves, that's freaky, man. That is terrifying stuff, you know, just conceptually. But we turn vampires into sort of a commodity nowadays. I won't say this doesn't scare me at all, but it has the vibe, you know, and I've got to appreciate a good vibe. It feels like old folklore, you know, it's haunting. I don't really attach myself all that much to the story. There's really not that much going on. It's just like they're trying to figure something out. I wanted more vampires as well, with Vampyr. There are like maybe 2 in there, but you don't really get to see them all that much. It's like, it's no Nosferatu, I don't think, where that guy was decked out. You knew he was a vampire, But these guys, they're like, yeah, that one's a vampire. And they're just like a guy, it's just an old man. I don't know. It is quite a pain to get through. And it's only like an hour and 13 minutes. That's amazing. But, you know, you kind of know what you're in for when you watch a movie from 1930s, I suppose. It's definitely not without its merits. I wouldn't watch it again, but I am glad that I watched it. I would never recommend it to anyone, I don't know. It just is what it is. Vampyr, 6 out of 10. I suppose that brings us to the end. What's the time now? Ooh, 5:53. I gotta get out of here. Pretty sharpish. So that's me, that's been me. Talking about some horror movies. I hope the audio wasn't awful. But I am recording this on my phone, as I say. Next week, Chris and Darcy are back. We're going to watch the Evil Dead trilogy from Sam Raimi. And that entails The Evil Dead, Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness. And then also the remake of Evil Dead from, I think, 2009 or something. That sounds about right. I'm excited to watch those. Really like Sam Raimi. Tune in for that one next time. See how we all thought of it. We're watching them separately. Well, Chris and Darcy have already seen them, I think. I have yet to watch them. I'm recording this on a Friday. I've got time, it's fine. We got social media. I don't have them written down. Maybe I'll try to do them off the top of my head. Facebook is at Sunday Movie Marathon. Twitter at Sunday Movie Pod. Instagram at Sunday Movie Pod. Do we have anything else? We got YouTube, the Sunday Movie Marathon. Maybe you're listening to us on there right now, who knows? Letterboxd also, we got that. At Sunday MM, capital S, capital MM. Remember to like, subscribe and rate the podcast 5 stars. I hope this was at least a little entertaining. I wanted to get something out this week. And I fancied a walk. I fancied, it's just a lot of fun to watch these movies for the first time and like really get back into like why I started this podcast, why we started this podcast in the first place, just to watch a lot of movies because we were doing it anyway. Sometimes it can be a bit of a slog to watch a bunch of shit for 7-8 hours in a row. But ultimately I have a lot of fun with the podcast. I'm very glad to be doing it still. Almost at 100 episodes. I guess if you count the bonus ones, we've already done 100 episodes. And then we're doing something pretty fun and special for the 100th. So stay tuned for that. I know what we're doing. And I'm pretty excited for it. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. And I hope this is not the last one to come out in October. But have a really good Halloween if you've got plans for that. If you're going trick-or-treating, if you're having a party. Don't get too drunk. Or do. I don't know. I'm not your father. Closing up the cemetery in 5 minutes. I gotta get out of here. So I will bid you adieu. Stay safe. Have fun. See you later. Bye.